Welcome back to another episode of Let's Make Dinner. I've got 4 super easy and delicious meals for you this week. Starting off, we are doing some chili dogs. So I just did canned chili. Of course, if you want to make chili yourself, knock yourself out. But this week was not time for that. So we've got chili going on the back of the stove, and then I've got a couple hot dogs that I'm just searing up on the front because I do like when they get a little bit of that crispiness to it. Makes it feel a little more gourmet of a meal. And then to go along with that, I did pick up some of this Mexican street corn salad. I split it between 2 bowls and then just drizzled some of the dressing on top as well. I actually really liked this Taylor Farm salad. I've been trying some different ones. My husband wasn't a huge fan of this one. It does have a little bit of a kick to it in that dressing, but not too bad that I didn't like it. And then we're just topping our delicious chili dogs with some shredded cheese. We just toasted up those buns in the toaster. Super easy, simple meal. It's one of my husband's favorites, and it's become a meal that I enjoy too. And then with the salad, we've got a pretty good balance there. Next up, we've got these. They don't even have an official name. They're like burrito roll-ups, burrito quote unquote flautas. So I'm just going in with some cooked ground beef, seasoning this like taco seasoning. So I just threw in some cumin, some chili pepper or chili powder, and then it was already seasoned with salt and pepper. And then I'm just adding in some refried beans, some cheese, and then also some cilantro. So just kind of common components of a burrito. You could also throw in some salsa or something if you wanted. I just kept it kind of minimal. I just didn't want there to be too much sauce when I go to put it in the filling for the tortillas. So it did take a minute to come together. The beans was kind of the only sort of binder that was in there, but I just had patience and it did come together. And then I just used these small fajita sized tortillas, scooped some of the mixture on there, gave it a nice tight roll, and then just repeated that until I ran out of filling. And I ended up with 17, which I was pretty proud of because that was almost like just a bit shy from a pound of ground beef. I used some of it the night before, but not a lot by any means. It was almost a full pound of ground beef, about half a can of refried beans, and then the cheese and cilantro I didn't measure at all. Um, Give those a little spray with oil, toss them in an oven. I do like to flip them about halfway through. I think I did these about 350, 375. Because again, everything's cooked. I'm more just getting it nice and toasty, melting that cheese. Next up, I saw this pizza on sale when we were shopping at Smith's, which is like our local Kroger. And I was like, how could I not do this pizza for dinner tonight? Because I don't know about you, but if I do go grocery shopping, the last thing I want to do after grocery shopping is cook. I don't like, which is silly because I'm literally grocery shopping so I can cook, but I mean, I feel like you know what I mean. So, since this was just a straight up just cheese pizza, nothing fancy, I did add some pepperoni. If you are liking this content, go ahead and give this video a quick thumbs up, click that subscribe button. YouTube appreciates all of those things. But with my pepperoni that I already had at home, I'm just going to ahead and add that to our pizza just to give it a little extra something. Along with that, I did want to heat up a couple chicken nuggets, both for my daughter, but then also for myself, just to bump up the protein of the meal. Get those tossed in the air fryer. And then they had this salad was also on sale. So another pre kind of gives you all the toppings type salad. This one looks like is a bacon, chipotle bacon, poblano. I'm trying to read the bag. Cheddar bacon poblano salad. So again, I just split that between the 2 bowls, and then I'm just gonna go in and add the toppings that it provided, splitting it between both of our bowls. I have to say, the way that they did these croutons, I think that's the way that I want to eat croutons because I don't really like croutons in my salad. I feel like it's too big of like a chunk that's so crunchy, but this where it's like a crouton crumble, it was delightful. I do think I liked the Mexican street corn salad slightly better than this one. The dressing came across a little salty, And maybe with the bacon too, it was just a little overpowering. Again, not inedible. We still ate it, but probably wouldn't buy it again. Now our pizza is out of the oven. I just cooked it according to the package instructions, and I just have this nice pizza cutter, and we're gonna get this nice cut for all of us to enjoy. And I feel like my arm looks like awkward when I'm cutting this, and it's simply because I'm trying to like keep the pizza in the frame for the camera, but then also get close enough to my counter to actually cut the pizza. So I'm still trying to figure out where to have everything set up. But I did get our pizza cut, and it was actually pretty delicious. And then my daughter loves pizza. It's just like she'll literally, if I'm like, oh, we're having pizza, or she sees pizza, she starts being like, pizza, pizza. So had to definitely get her a piece too. So I got her a piece, and I just chopped that up into smaller pieces, easier for her to take bites of. And here's what it looks like all plated up. Not bad for a clearance pizza, a clearance salad, and then just a few other items that we had around the house. One of my favorite ways of making a budget meal. Next up, this is our final meal, and this is just one of my favorites. I think because it's pasta, and I mean, who doesn't love pasta? So, just to get started, I'm seasoning some chicken. I'm doing kind of generic seasoning: salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Nothing wild or out there. So season to your liking. Getting it ready for the air fryer. The pieces. This is just chicken breast. I believe it's about 2 pounds worth, and I just chopped it up into somewhat equalish size and shape, so it would cook fairly evenly in the air fryer. And then I'm going to take some sun-dried tomatoes, and this is for our sauce. So I'm going to use pretty much almost the end of that jar and just give those a nice chop. I just don't like to have huge pieces of sun-dried tomatoes, so I try to make them a little more reasonable when I'm going to have it in a pasta. So give that a nice chop, and then we're going to add that to a hot skillet. But first, we're going to throw in some salt to our boiling water, and apparently I decided to give that a stir, and then we're going to throw in our pasta noodles. I did use the protein spaghetti, but whatever sort of noodles you have on hand, just fine. And I would say that's probably about half a box worth. Now to the hot skillet, we're adding in those sun-dried tomatoes. Let those go for a bit, and then we're adding in the garlic, and then your house will just smell absolutely amazing. Just, oh my gosh, is there anything better than like garlic cooking on a hot pan? And I don't know if this mic is picking up my child screaming in the background, but it probably is. We are using jarred Alfredo sauce. Yes, you can make your own Alfredo sauce, if you want to, go for it. But I do like my convenience items when applicable. So to make sure I'm getting all of the sauce, I did add in some chicken broth and some milk, give it a nice shake, and then added that back to the skillet. I was a little concerned. I was like, oh my gosh, did I add too much liquid? This seems like kind of liquidy, but it all worked out. So sometimes you just got to trust that process and know that when you add pasta to the liquid, it's going to keep cooking. It's going to soak up some of that deliciousness. So something to keep in mind. I'm giving my pasta a stir just to try to get everyone into the hot tub. Not everyone wanted to join it, and I didn't break. Sometimes I just break up the spaghetti and make it fit the pot, but this night I did want the nice, big, beautiful strands. So, and to go along with that, we did do some broccoli for our vegetable. If you've been watching any amount of my dinner videos, you'll notice broccoli is one of our most common vegetables. It's one that my daughter enjoys, one that my husband enjoys. So, and I like broccoli too, but I'm a little more open to different vegetables. But this is one that everyone will eat in the house. So I'm just chopping it up, kind of like with the sun-dried tomato situation. I just don't want any giant pieces. I want it to be all pretty even and easy to eat on the fork with the pasta. So to our sauce, I did add the broccoli. Wasn't on video, but it happened, I swear. And then I drained the pasta and got the pasta added. This is where, again, I was starting to question if I had added too much liquid, but I just had to trust the process, slowly kind of incorporate the noodles, get it down into the sauce, topped it with a little bit, literally the last of the bag. I probably would have added more cheese, but I didn't have very much in the bag, and I didn't realize that when I decided to make this recipe that night. So it's just a mozzarella parmesan mixture, and it was just probably just a couple tablespoons. This is half of the chicken that we had in the air fryer. So I cooked up more than I knew that I needed, just because, it's nice to have some chicken prepped on hand for future meals. So I chopped that up once it was cooked and then added that directly into the pasta. Delicious, absolutely delightful. If you wanted to, you could do some garlic bread or something on the side. A side salad would be nice. But anyways, I hope this gave you some ideas for some dinners this week. Thanks so much for watching.